The next day, Jesus decided to go to Galilee. He found Philip and said to him,
"Follow me."
Now, Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and said to him,
"We have found him about whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus, son of Joseph, from Nazareth."
Nathanael said to him, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" Philip said to him,
"Come and see."
When Jesus saw Nathanael coming toward him, he said of him,
"Here is truly an Israelite in whom there is no deceit."
Nathanael asked him, "Where did you get to know me?" Jesus answered,
"I saw you under the fig tree before Philip called you."
Nathanael replied, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." Jesus answered,
"Do you believe because I told you that I saw you under the fig tree? You will see greater things than these."
And he said to him,
"Very truly I tell you, you will see heaven opened and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man."
Can anything good come out of Nazareth? I just love that question. Because, well, you know the answer. It's obviously yes. But you got to think about where they were coming from at the time this question was first asked. We're talking Nazareth. Maybe the population of Nazareth was about 100 people, if we were lucky. Most of them interrelated. It was a small, isolated village up in the hill country of northern Galilee. And it was not a place that you would go to get somewhere else. It was off the beaten path, out of the way. And the only reason anyone would have any intention to go to Nazareth was if they knew somebody there. Because there's really no reason to go to Nazareth otherwise. Can anything good come out of Nazareth? And it begins this incredible narrative. When you look at the full scope of John's gospel, John is portraying Jesus in very particular ways, particularly the bridge between God and humanity. John is very careful to articulate the eternal nature of Christ, not simply one who was born on Christmas and then died on Easter, but rather someone who was, as John says in the opening verses of his gospel, was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And that eternal character of Christ comes out at the very beginning of John's gospel. John is very careful to articulate also the divinity of Christ and to make sure that we understand Christ is not just flesh and blood human being walking around like us, but Christ is God. And that's where in John's gospel we get the beautiful and prophetic I am statements. I am the light of the world. I am the good shepherd. I am the vine. I am the bread of life. I am the gate, the way to the Father. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. All of these I am statements that Jesus expresses come from the Gospel of John. So this eternal and divine nature of Christ is so vividly illustrated, but yet John's also very careful to show the humanity of Christ. Even in this passage, Christ is just walking around. He's deciding to go. He's just there, and he eats and he drinks, and he just has this incredible personal presence. And Jesus is also portrayed in John's Gospel through the signs and the incarnation and the service and the sacrifice and the love that permeate John's Gospel. All of these things come together to show the breadth of this person that is Jesus Christ. Now today, in today's scripture, or today's passage, we don't see any of that. It's very interesting because Jesus comes to Galilee just as he is. No pomp and circumstance, no waving of palm branches or throwing cloaks on the ground, no hails and hosannas and blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, no doves coming down from heaven. All those took place at a different time and a different place. Jesus just walks over towards the Galilean hillsides, and there's no prophecy, no preaching, but he simply says to Philip, "Follow me. Follow me." Now think about that. With no miracles, no healings, no prophetic sermons, no grandiose introductions, just a compelling presence. Follow me. And we see nothing in the gospel that indicates that Philip spent even so much as a brain cell trying to contemplate whether or not he should do this. He just follows. You know, one of the things that I teach when I'm in the college, in the human communication, is the difference between confidence and arrogance. How many of us know an arrogant person? How many of us like to spend time with arrogant people? How many of you know a confident person? And how much do you want to spend time with the confident people? And the difference between confidence and arrogance can be summarized very simply in the way that they portray themselves. Because an arrogant person actually has such a low self-esteem that they've got to invest all their energy into putting up this facade and telling you over and over again how great and wonderful and beautiful and intelligent and capable they are. An arrogant person cannot go through a day without advertising how wonderful they are. Because they've got to maintain this facade. And they're very off-putting because they're all in your face about how good they are, and usually that also comes with a paradoxical how less than deserving you are because, I'm all that. A confident person never has to advertise who they are. A confident person is so self-assured in their own understanding of who they are, good and bad, that they can stand comfortably in their own skin and radiate a confident assurance. And I see that in Christ in this. Christ did not have to advertise who he was. Christ did not have to put out this advertisement that say, okay, look how great I am. I am the Son of God. I'm all this, I'm all that, because, follow me. Follow me. And because of that calm assurance and that confidence in Christ, that Christ-like presence and that resilience, Christ was able to communicate directly to Philip, and Philip said, okay, let's go. Here we are. Let's do this. I'm excited. And then Philip goes on to Nathanael. And with great excitement, Philip says, I found it, the Messiah, the one that's talked about in the law and the prophets, the one who we've been waiting for. I found him. Well, can anything good come out of Nazareth? In other words, why did God choose the most backwater place in Israel to do something wonderful? I think of Samuel. Why would God choose a little boy to proclaim the prophetic word to the king. Not just any prophetic word, but an unflattering one. It's great to go to the king and say, hey king, I got great news. God's going to do wonderful things. How'd you like to go to the king and say, hey king, I got to tell you, God's not too happy with you, and God is going to punish you because your sons are idiots. That's basically what he told Samuel. And Samuel had to go tell the king this. Why would God choose a little boy? Why would God choose a backwater village? Can anything good come out of such insignificant things? And the key is in that confidence, that assurance, that peace of Christ that passes all understanding, that peace that guards our hearts and minds in Christ Jesus, that is grounded in the fundamentals of a relationship. And oftentimes we find in religious circles that we don't understand the difference between religion and relationship. Religion is a tool, like a hammer, but it's still built on rules and expectations. And I know some very religious people that don't even have a clue what it is to have a relationship with Christ. And I know some people that have a deep relationship with Christ that don't look remotely religious. And yet the authenticity comes through the relationship. Follow me. Not because you have to, but because you want to. Come and see. Don't take my word for it, but come, see what there is. Experience for yourself that joy and that peace and that inner confidence that comes from a relationship with Christ. And remember that just because something is small, young, insignificant, in no way means that it is unimportant. I can't tell you how many times I have heard, in one way or another, a disparaging comment, sometimes from within and sometimes from the outside, about this little congregation. We're a small church. We don't have the multi-million-dollar facilities that other congregations have. We don't have a full-time pastoral staff that other congregations have. We don't have a full-time salaried youth pastor like other churches have. We don't have the hip youth group where all the high school students want to be like other congregations. We don't have a whole lot of stuff that bigger churches have, and it's very easy for people to look down on little churches because, well, they're just small and insignificant. And sometimes that message not only comes from the outside, but we feel it inside. We look at ourselves and we're too small to do any good, we're too old, we're too tired, we're too this, we're too that, you can be too whatever. And people would say, can anything good come out of First Christian Church? And you know the answer to that. If Jesus Christ can come from Nazareth and save the world, then the presence of Christ and the people in this room can say to Carlsbad, follow me, come and see. And this little congregation will be the movement for wholeness in this fragmented world. This little congregation is a group of people that can stand up in a world where leaders will just completely disregard whole sectors of human population simply because of the continent in which they came from. We can bridge that difference. We as a little congregation can make a difference in this community where homeless people are struggling to understand how to reintegrate into society, and where folks struggling with drug and alcohol addiction are trying to break those bonds. We can make a difference where the inequality of wealth in this community makes housing so unaffordable for so many people. We can make a difference every day through our prayers, through our actions, through our lives. We can make a difference where people are being put down and beat up and pushed aside and discriminated against and hurt simply because of sin. And that's us. There's a reason why this church has traditionally supported missions like the Battered Family Shelter, the Carlsbad Community Kitchen, Transitional Housing and Homeless Shelter, and the Martin Luther King Scholarship Foundation. Because this congregation believes in making a confident difference. And I want to say, as a pastor, I could not be called to serve a better congregation. I am proud. And that's not arrogance, that's confidence. Because Christ is here. Come and see.